What comes to mind when you think about a same-sex couple raising children, just like any other family? It might be hard to believe, but it's true. The Black celebrities I'm about to discuss in this video are living proof of this reality. Some of them even have as many as 24 children. These individuals don't just face the weight of societal prejudice, but also navigate the challenges of raising and protecting their kids in unique ways. Despite the obstacles, they remain resilient, building their families from small dreams of love and happiness.
And then trying to be clear is probably the best component to a good story, is just how much of an effort you're.
Of course, not everyone understands this journey, and today, I'm going to share stories that very few know about. Stories of 21 LGBT+ Black stars who have fought to have children and keep love alive in a world full of challenges. 1. Lee Daniels, the famous director and his single-parent family built from love. Lee Daniels, a name synonymous with success in the entertainment industry, is the mastermind behind the hit show Empire. But behind the glitz and glamour, Lee has written a remarkable life story. He and his former partner, Billy Hopkins, adopted 2 children, Clara and Liam. These twins are actually Lee's niece and nephew, the children of his brother, who was serving time in prison. The journey began with a bold decision when Lee was just starting to make a name for himself. Clara and Liam were adopted when they were only 3 days old, and from that moment, Lee's journey as a father became one of endless struggle. The cruel gossip, the judgmental stares from the public, all of it only fueled his determination. On a cold winter afternoon in 2015, Lee, wearing a simple apron, diligently prepared a fruit platter for Clara. The sound of laughter echoed from the living room as Liam taught his sister how to play a new game. It was a simple yet emotional scene, a reward after years of fighting to protect his small family. Building this family was no easy feat. When he adopted Clara and Liam nearly 2 decades ago, he faced countless criticisms. As a Black, openly gay man in the entertainment industry, Lee once feared he wouldn't be able to provide the children with a normal life. The challenges only grew when his relationship with Billy Hopkins ended. Balancing fatherhood with a demanding career drained him more than once, but the love he had for Clara and Liam always kept him going. That evening, after Clara had gone back to her room and Liam put on his headphones to call his friends, Lee sat at his desk to review scripts for his next project. On the desk, a family photo taken when Clara and Liam were still little caught his eye, making him pause. The 2 kids in the photo were now grown, but his love and responsibility for them had never changed. Suddenly,
things happen on my
Liam
set,
came
and
over
also
with an
I
essay
needed
about
it
his
for
special family.
me, and so we
Reading his
prayed
son's
before
heartfelt
every.
words, Lee couldn't hold back tears. No matter how tough the journey was, he knew he had made the right choice. This family was the best thing he ever had. 2. Wanda Sykes. The comedian's inspiring journey as a lesbian mother, Wanda Sykes, the famous comedian and writer, is one of the pioneers who publicly came out as gay. After marrying Alex Nidbalski in 2008, they welcomed twins Olivia and Lucas in 2009. Creating a family full of laughter and love in Washington, D.C. On a crisp fall morning in 2017, the fresh air filled the small park near Wanda's home. She bent down gently, tying Olivia's shoes while Lucas eagerly practiced his basketball shots. At first glance, it seemed like a peaceful family morning, but behind this was a long struggle to achieve this simple happiness. Olivia and Lucas, the result of artificial insemination, were the world to Wanda and Alex. But to get to this point, they had to confront plenty of societal prejudice. While Wanda was lost in thought, Olivia suddenly asked, "Mom, just like you wear a warm coat." The simple answer wasn't just about nature. It was about connecting with her daughter, something she always strived to do amidst her busy schedule. But not everything was easy. As a famous comedian and writer, Wanda often had to go on tours, leaving home for long stretches. There were nights when she returned late, only to find Alex holding both kids while they waited for her. Moments like those made Wanda feel both love and guilt. Lucas's cheerful shout after making a basket pulled Wanda from her thoughts. "Mom, I did it." Lucas and Olivia ran over, their eyes shining. Wanda smiled, holding both of them and leading them back home. Those small moments, to her, were worth more than any spotlight because Olivia and Lucas were the greatest gift life had ever given her. 3. Todrick Hall. The gay dad's journey raising a child. Todrick Hall, a talented singer, actor, and dancer, is famous not just for his explosive career, but also for his journey to fatherhood. Openly gay, he adopted Zayden in 2017, making her the brightest light in his life. In Los Angeles, on a summer afternoon in 2022, Todrick sat in the living room where colorful scraps of paper and crayons were scattered all over the floor. Zayden, a 5-year-old, was deeply engrossed in drawing. The bright golden sunshine streamed through the windows, illuminating her innocent eyes and chubby cheeks. "Dad, look." Zayden excitedly held up her picture, showing a man with blue hair holding hands with a curly-haired girl. Todrick looked at it, his heart bursting with happiness as he quickly snapped a photo to share online, proudly showcasing his daughter. But behind the happy family pictures he often shared on social media were challenges few could understand. As a gay artist raising a child alone, he was often subjected to judgmental stares and had to deal with prejudice. He also had to help his child understand the uniqueness of their family. "Don't you have a mom?" A naive question from one of Zayden's classmates once left her speechless and hurt Todrick deeply. He gently explained to the kids that every family has its own story, and the most important thing is love. That night, when Zayden got scared of the dark and ran to hug him, Todrick put everything aside to hold her in his arms. He wasn't a perfect father, but he always tried his best to make Zayden feel loved and safe. For Todrick, Zayden's love meant everything. Her smiles were his motivation to overcome all barriers.
Orange is the New Black
4.
and Handmaid's
Samira
Tale.
Wiley,
You're fantastic.
the gay actress
Thank
and
you
her
so
complete
much.
family.
So nice to meet you.
Samira Wiley,
Don't
renowned star
tell
of
me anything
Orange
about
is
the new season
Black,
because I haven't seen.
is not only known for her brilliant career, but also for her journey into motherhood with her wife, Lauren Morelli. The couple married in 2017 and welcomed their first daughter, George Elizabeth, in 2021 through in vitro fertilization. One evening in July 2023, Samira sat on the sofa with George nestled in her lap. The little girl's tiny hands fiddled with the necklace her mother wore. Laughter echoed from the kitchen where Lauren was preparing dinner. George looked up, her eyes sparkling, and asked in her babbling toddler voice, "Mommy Samira, where's my bear?" Samira chuckled, kissing her daughter's milk-scented hair. But motherhood hasn't always been so peaceful. Samira vividly remembers the exhausting early days after George was born, the sleepless nights, the exhaustion, and especially the pressure of living openly as a same-sex family. She and Lauren often faced scrutinizing glances from strangers when they took George for walks or negative comments on social media. But Samira knew she couldn't let prejudice hurt her family. Lauren walked into the room with a radiant smile, placing 2 mugs of tea on the table. "George, have you been giving Mommy a hard time?" she asked, feigning sternness. George giggled, hugging Samira tightly and shouting, "I love Mommy Samira and Mommy Lauren too." That night, after putting George to sleep, Samira and Lauren sat together, looking at a scribbled drawing George had made. 2 moms standing on either side of her, holding hands. For Samira, this wasn't just a child's drawing, but proof of the love and bond that had helped their family overcome every obstacle. 5. Kalila. From famous gay singer to resilient mother, Kalila, the talented singer and songwriter, surprised the world when she publicly shared her journey into motherhood. Ada Nomai Lee, her daughter with guitarist J.V. Young White, was born in 2017, becoming the greatest joy in her life. Although they had separated before Ada was born, Kalila and Javi maintained a good relationship to co-parent their daughter. One rainy afternoon in October 2022 in Oakland, Kalila sat in an armchair by the window, holding Ada in her arms. The pitter-patter of rain outside created a chilly atmosphere, but the room was filled with warmth. Ada, now 5 years old, curled up in a blanket, intently flipping through the pages of a picture book. "Mommy, I like the story about the bunny finding a home the best," she said excitedly. Kalila smiled gently, replying, "The bunny found a home because he had a brave heart, just like you." Even as she enjoyed this peaceful moment, Khalila's mind couldn't help but wander to the challenges she had overcome. The days when she herself had to be brave to get through. Khalila was pregnant with Ada at the peak of her career. She faced pressure from the public, a demanding schedule, and the exhaustion of being a single mother. There were long nights when Khalila held her daughter in her arms, tears silently falling as she thought about the challenges ahead. But Ada's innocent eyes and smile were always a powerful source of motivation for her to keep going. That afternoon, when the rain stopped, Ada exclaimed at the window, "Mommy, a rainbow." Khalila went over, hugged her daughter, and together they gazed at the vibrant band of colors in the sky. "It's beautiful, just as radiant as you," she whispered. In that moment, Khalila knew that every challenge had been worth it, because Ada was the brightest light in her life.
32. Honestly,
Isaiah
I'm like,
Rashad.
damn, that was
The
a
talented
dramatic little
rapper's
boy.
fathom
Shame
of
on
journey
him. Dramatic
told through
ass.
music.
Go to sleep, little nigga. I'm
Isaiah
like, damn,
Rashad,
thank God.
a prominent name in American rap music, is known not only for his soulful melodies, but also for his role as a father of three. Although he keeps his family life private, his songs always contain stories of love and sacrifice for his children. One evening in November 2021, in Chattanooga, Tennessee, Isaiah Rashad sat thoughtfully on an old sofa, watching his three children play. His eldest son, 7 years old, was diligently putting the final pieces of a puzzle together. His 5-year-old daughter, beside him, full of authority, pointed and directed, while the youngest, 3 years old, hugged the teddy bear tightly, giggling at his siblings' confrontation. Watching his children laugh, Isaiah smiled too, but deep down, he carried a heavy burden. Being the single father in the cutthroat music industry wasn't easy. His life as an artist was already full of challenges, and on top of that, becoming a single father made things even harder. He had struggled with self-doubt, worried that he wasn't good enough to give his children a complete life. That night, after the three children were settled in bed, Isaiah sat at his desk, his pen trembling slightly in his hand. He wasn't just writing lyrics, but pouring out all his worries, pride, and love for his children. Each word was like a piece in the puzzle of his life, full of pressure and intense emotion. When small footsteps echoed, he turned and saw his 5-year-old daughter standing there, her eyes sleepy. He picked her up and held her close. In that moment, all his weariness vanished. His children were the reason Isaiah, no matter how difficult things got, would never give up, because for him, family was everything. 7. Cheryl Swoops, the basketball legend who put everything aside for her son. Cheryl Swoops, a WNBA basketball legend, not only amazed the world with her outstanding talent, but also drew attention when she came out as gay. As the mother of Jordan Eric Jackson, her son from a previous marriage, Cheryl has always affirmed that family is the greatest source of strength in her life. One afternoon in June 2010, in Houston, Cheryl Swoops sat in the stands, intently watching Jordan, her 13-year-old son, giving his all on the high school basketball court. Every pass, every accurate shot he made, filled his mother's heart with excitement. When the buzzer sounded, signaling the end of the game, Jordan ran toward Cheryl, a winning medal gleaming in his hand. "Mom, I scored 12 points," he exclaimed, his face beaming like sunshine. Cheryl smiled and hugged her son tightly, but worry still lingered in her heart. When Cheryl publicly came out, there had been rumors and scrutinized glances directed at her and Jordan. She always worried that this might affect her son, causing him to face discrimination at school. That year, Jordan had come home with a sad look in his eyes, asking Cheryl, "Mom, why do people say you're different?" Her heart ached, but she quickly reassured her son, affirming that living truthfully was the right thing to do. Cheryl's resilience and love helped Jordan overcome the social pressures, and he gradually learned to be proud of his extraordinary mother. Although Cheryl's journey as a mother was full of challenges, she always believed that love was the strongest shield, helping her and Jordan overcome every hardship together. 8. Karamo Brown, suddenly stepping into the challenging journey of being a gay dad. Karamo Brown, an icon of the LGBTQ+ community, is not only known for his role in Queer Eye, but also for earning admiration worldwide as the father of 2 sons, Jason and Chris. From unexpectedly discovering that he had a 10-year-old son, Jason, to deciding to raise Chris, Jason's half-brother, Karamo has shown that family love knows no boundaries. In August 2013, in a small kitchen in Los Angeles, Karamo was busy preparing breakfast. Jason, then 16 years old, excitedly talked about an upcoming soccer game, while Chris, the 13-year-old, held up a hand-drawn picture of the three of them holding hands. Those simple moments were enough to make Karamo smile and feel a lump in his throat. Behind that smile was a weighty burden: tuition bills, living expenses, and the skeptical looks from society toward a gay father caused Karamo many sleepless nights. He remembered back to 2007, when he unexpectedly found out he had a son. His high school girlfriend, when he was 15, had gotten pregnant with his child without telling him. She moved away, and they never communicated again. This was before social media. He was confused, sad, angry, yet strangely excited to become a father, although he still felt lost. But Jason's love changed his life completely. 3 years later, Karamo adopted Chris, so the two brothers wouldn't have to grow up apart. That evening, on the soccer field, after scoring the winning goal, Jason ran into Karamo's arms. "Dad, I did it!" he shouted, his eyes shining with joy. And when Chris asked on the way home, "Dad, why do you do everything for us?" Karamo simply but sincerely answered, "Because you are my life." Karamo knew that no matter how tough it got, as long as he had Jason and Chris, he had everything. 9. Billy Porter. The resilient life of a gay single dad living with HIV. Billy Porter, the standout star of Broadway and Hollywood, is known not only for his acting and music talents, but also as a symbol of resilience. Publicly gay since his 20s, living with HIV for 14 years in silence, and becoming the father of an adorable boy through adoption, Billy has proven that love can overcome any adversity. In August 2022, in his small New York apartment, Billy sat with his 5-year-old son, who had bright eyes and an innocent smile. The two of them were building a Lego castle in a warm golden sunset. The atmosphere seemed peaceful, but inside Billy, a swirl of emotions was rising, especially when the boy suddenly asked, "Dad, why do I have two dads but my friends don't?" The question pierced Billy like an arrow. He froze, his gaze briefly sad, but then he smiled, pulling the boy into his arms. Every family has its own special qualities. You might see them or not, but as long as you feel the love, it's always a complete family. Billy knew that one day the boy would face tougher questions from society, but for now, he just wanted him to feel loved and accepted. That night, when the boy was sound asleep, Billy stood by the window, staring into the distance. He thought about everything he had been through, coming out as gay, battling HIV, and now being the single dad after a painful breakup with Adam. The streetlights outside reminded him of the constant struggle, but the sound of his son's giggle from the next room and his sudden murmur made Billy smile, thinking to himself, "As long as there's love, we can overcome anything." 10. Laverne Cox, the first transgender mother brave enough to face the world. Laverne Cox, the star from Orange is the New Black and a powerful icon for the LGBTQ+ community, has had a journey unlike anyone else's. As the first transgender person to appear on the cover of Time magazine, she is not only an actress, but also a pioneer in the fight for LGBTQ+ rights. However, few know that Laverne once adopted a boy named Louis, who changed her life. One rainy afternoon in November 2019, Laverne entered her small apartment after an important speech about LGBTQ+ rights. In her hand was a book for Louis, her 8-year-old son with bright eyes and an innocent smile. "Mom's home," he said. In that moment, no matter how busy or pressured she was, Laverne just wanted to forget all the difficulties and embrace this moment. Despite being a famous star, Laverne couldn't escape the constant struggles in life. She faced criticism and harsh comments from online communities, but seeing Louis gave her the strength to keep going. Suddenly, the boy questioned, "Mom, why do some people not like differences?" Laverne choked up. She paused for a moment and replied, "Sometimes they're afraid of what they don't understand. But you know, the very things that make you different are what make you special." Louis smiled, resting his head on Laverne's shoulder. To him, Mom was the strongest person in the world, who taught him that courage is not just about overcoming hardship, but about living authentically.
Both really funny,
The
but
rain
also
outside still
heartfelt.
fell,
Yeah.
but inside the small apartment, love and the bond between mother and son filled the space. 11. Niecy Nash, the transgender actress's journey of divorce, finding love with her wife and kids. Niecy Nash, an actress and producer known for her roles in Reno 911 and Claws, has lived a life full of twists and turns. After divorcing Don Nash in 2007, she entered a relationship with Jay Tucker in 2011, only to divorce again in 2020. But what made her a symbol for the LGBTQ+ community was marrying singer Jessica Betts in the same year. Although Niecy's life changed drastically, her love for her 3 children from her previous marriage remained at the core of it all. One summer evening in 2021, warm yellow light filled Niecy's room. She sat next to Dia, her youngest daughter, who was carefully adding the finishing touches to a family portrait. Dia held up the picture of the family, Mom, Jessica, and the siblings. Mom, Jessica, is also part of our family, Dia said, causing Niecy to laugh. But no one could see the pain and tension she faced when publicly revealing her relationship with Jessica. Criticism from her own family and skepticism from those around her made everything feel overwhelming. That night, Dominic, Niecy's eldest son, unexpectedly stopped by. Seeing the picture, he teased his sister, then asked his mom for a chat. The two of them went to the backyard, where the soft moonlight filtered through the trees. Dominic, now grown, sighed as he thought about the harsh words he had once said when his mom married a woman. "Mom, I'm sorry. I didn't understand you and Jessica at first. I wasn't used to the change." Niecy placed a hand on his shoulder, her gaze firm and full of love. "Dominic, I understand. I never wanted you or your siblings to think that my love for you would change. Our family may not look like other families, but it's still full of love." When they returned to the house, Jessica had made tea, and Danielle was helping Dia with a new painting. The whole family gathered around, and laughter filled the small room. Niecy looked at her children and Jessica, her heart overflowing with happiness. For her, overcoming challenges wasn't just about accepting herself, but also keeping the love intact within her family, no matter the form it took.
Now,
12.
like I'm doing really
Brittany
good.
Griner.
Thank you.
Broken marriage and a challenging journey
You know,
from
there's
the
highs and lows. It's a roller
LGBTQ+
coaster. It
basketball
hits me
player.
at random times.
Brittany Griner, the famous basketball star, is openly gay and was once married to Glory Johnson. One day, after Glory announced she was pregnant with twins, Brittany abruptly filed for divorce. The reason was because she believed Glory was still involved with her ex-boyfriend during their courtship. The twins, Ava and Soli, were born afterward, but Brittany was unable to be involved in raising them. It wasn't until 2024 that she found a complete family when she married Cherelle Griner and welcomed their first son, Bash. That summer, in her cozy living room, Brittany sat intently watching the crib where Bash slept soundly. Despite having experienced painful breakups in the past, from her divorce with Glory to the sadness of not being near her daughters, Brittany now found joy and hope in the love of Cherelle and her son. The long nights she used to spend awake, anxiously thinking about her 2 daughters, Ava and Soli, were now just a memory. Facing Bash, all the pain seemed to have healed. Life was still full of challenges, especially the social judgment of LGBTQ+ families. But Brittany and Cherelle were determined to build a happy home where love was the only thing that mattered. 13. Don Lemon. The famous journalist building a perfect LGBTQ+ family. Don Lemon, the famous CNN journalist, came out and married Tim Malone in April 2024. Prior to this, they had discussed having children, and ultimately, Don and Tim adopted a baby girl, a significant decision marking a new chapter in their lives. One autumn afternoon in 2024, on the rooftop of their Manhattan apartment, Don and Tim stood watching the sunset. "She's a part of us," Don said, his voice choked with emotion, looking at his little daughter playing on the floor. Their eyes were filled with love, unable to believe that this small family was complete. They had overcome all the curious glances, the judgments, and now this little girl was proof of the strength of their love. The little girl looked up and called, "Papa, Daddy," causing Tim to be unable to hold back, embracing them both. The difficulties and challenges had not been able to defeat them. This family was no longer a dream but a reality, despite all the surrounding gossip.
Alice,
14.
I'm just
Robin Roberts,
so.
the GMA host building the family with a special child.
What they have been able to
Robin
do,
Roberts,
and you know.
the famous host of Good Morning America, came out and has been in love with Amber Lane for 16 years. Although they don't have children of their own, they adopted a rescue dog named Lucas and consider him their child. One afternoon, in their small New York apartment, Robin and Amber sat side by side, their hands clasped tightly while Lucas lay on the floor, his eyes intently watching them. These peaceful moments, even without biological children, still filled their hearts with love. Robin sighed, recalling the terrible challenges, from her bone marrow transplant to Amber's battle with breast cancer. But through it all, Lucas had always been a source of encouragement, the only child they needed. They had overcome the most difficult times of their lives and found strength in the love they had for each other and for Lucas. This was their family, not like most, but everything to them. 15. Shaun T., the tearful and painful journey to having adorable twins. Shaun T., the famous fitness trainer, and his husband, Scott Blocker, went through a miraculous but also arduous journey to have their two adorable sons, Silas Reese and Sander Vaughn. 12 IVF attempts, 6 egg donors, 5 surrogates, 2 doctors, and 1 miscarriage, all culminating in boundless joy when their sons were born. One afternoon, at their home in Los Angeles, Shaun and Scott sat together, their eyes filled with happiness as they watched their 2 young children play. They hugged each other, remembering the difficult days of struggle, countless failures, so much hope that seemed to be fading. But now, Silas and Sander were the greatest compensation for that effort. The 2 children were the result of immeasurable hardship, a miracle that the world could hardly fully understand. The difficulties seemed unable to diminish the love for their children, and in every moment, they knew that what they had fought for was truly worth it. 16. Michelle Ndigiocello, from complex relationships to an inspiring motherhood journey. Michelle Ndigiocello, the talented and bisexual artist, has lived through turbulent and unusual relationships. She has 2 children, including Solomon, her first son, from a relationship with feminist author Rebecca Walker, and Jacob, her second son, from her marriage to Allison Riley. One summer day, Michelle sat leisurely on a swing, watching her grown son Solomon as they shared unforgettable memories. Behind the moments of struggling with life's difficulties, love never diminished, especially when she looked into Jacob's radiant eyes. The difficult days with Rebecca, when she was a single mother, and later the newfound love with Allison, created a family full of love, despite many challenges. No matter how complex life was, Michelle knew that she had obtained the most precious thing in the world, her own children. 17. Jeffrey Boyer Chapman, the LGBT+ actor silently protecting his adopted child. Jeffrey Boyer Chapman, the famous openly LGBT+ star, is living a unique life, especially since he adopted a young boy. Although very private about his family life, especially about his adopted son, Jeffrey constantly shows unconditional love for the child. One peaceful afternoon at his small home in Vancouver, Jeffrey sat on the porch, scrolling through old photos. In one of them, a picture stood out, him and a big-eyed boy holding hands in front of a restaurant. Although he doesn't share specific information about his son's past or name, Jeffrey always proudly calls him the light of my life. Their simple everyday moments, from hugging each other on the train to going to the park, prove that love doesn't need to be ostentatious. Overcoming the prejudices of the entertainment industry, Jeffrey proved that family truly doesn't distinguish between blood ties. His adopted son is a wonderful gift that he cherishes more than anything else. 18. Michaela Cole, the world-admired LGBTQ+ writer, foster mother to unfortunate children in Ghana. Michaela Cole, the famous British writer and actress, openly identifies as LGBTQ+, and is a pioneer in creating a safe space for orphaned children in Ghana. Despite her outstanding career, she still constantly faces challenges, especially in adopting children from a country with strict laws regarding LGBTQ+ individuals. One early morning in Ghana, Michaela Cole sat on a wooden step, her hand stroking the head of Quame, her adopted son from a local home. Although she loved them like her own children, Michaela couldn't avoid the pressure from the strict laws about gender identity. There, of course, that couldn't make her back down. Day by day, hour by hour, she gave Quame and the other children a chance to change their lives, helping them dream and live their true selves. She created a home that was not just a house, but also a flame of love, confronting every challenge. The smiles and bright eyes of the children were the motivation that helped Michaela overcome everything. 19. Ma Rainey, the mother of the blues and her secret life with her adopted son, Ma Rainey. The blues legend known as the mother of the blues was a pioneer in music and left a deep mark on history. She was also known for her tumultuous life, from her marriage to William Pa Rainey to adopting a boy named Danny, who later became an indispensable part of her performing group. One evening, at a small stage, dim lights shone on Ma Rainey as she sang and played guitar while the boy, Danny, danced to the rhythm. Despite the hardships she had experienced, life wasn't easy in a world full of prejudice. Ma Rainey and Danny overcame everything together. Although not her biological son, Ma Rainey always considered Danny family, her greatest source of motivation. Together, they shared a passion for music, overcoming loneliness and social pressures. In a world where LGBTQ+ people still had to fight, love and music gave them freedom without needing to speak, just eyes and musical notes connecting them. 20. Marsha P. Johnson, the mother of the gay community and the challenging life of a non-biological mother. Marsha P. Johnson, an LGBT+ legend, is best known by her nickname, Mother of Christopher Street, due to her relentless contributions to the LGBTQ+ community. She helped hundreds of abandoned youth, becoming a pillar for lives filled with hardship. Marsha was not only a caregiver, but also the mother to 24 children, individuals who turned to her in their most desperate times. One summer afternoon in 1970, on Christopher Street, Marsha stood amidst the narrow streets, where she was the only light in the darkness of prejudice. With her vibrant hair and radiant smile, she embraced children abandoned by their families, like Tommy, a 17-year-old boy kicked out by his parents just because of his sexuality. Though there was no blood relation, Marsha's love for her children was always abundant and unconditional. Every meal, every night's sleep was a great comfort. The judgmental stares from outsiders couldn't diminish the strength of the love she had for her family. "We'll get through this together," Marsha often said when her children faced hardship. She was a mother, a fierce protector, not just for a select few, but for an entire generation of lost hearts. 21. Audre Lorde, the LGBT+ poet who dared to live authentically, challenging all limits with her 2 children. Audre Lorde, the legendary poet and renowned activist, is one of the essential icons of the civil rights and LGBTQ+ movements. She was not only an outstanding writer, but also a trailblazer in fighting for women's rights and anti-racism. After a difficult marriage to Edwin Rollins, she became the mother of 2 children, Elizabeth and Jonathan, in a world filled with challenges and gender-based prejudice. In the summer of 1966, in her cozy kitchen in Harlem, Audre Lorde woke up with her 2 children while memories of life with Edwin still lingered in her heart. After their separation, she continued raising Elizabeth and Jonathan with resilience. No one easily accepted a lesbian mother in a conservative society, but Audre was never afraid. She taught her daughter the strength and pride that came with being different, even in a world full of stigma. Elizabeth, only 8 years old, understood that her mother was different but strong. "Mom, I know I'm strong because I'm your child," the little girl said with pride. Audre smiled, her heart filled with happiness for the legacy she had passed on to her children. Surely, you never imagined there were such fascinating stories about these 21 Black celebrities, right? The struggles in love, bold decisions, and living under the scrutiny of judgment. That's what they faced along with their children. What do you think about these stories? Leave a comment, share your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss any captivating tales behind a Hollywood glow.